Very few people are allowed up here into the inner sanctum. And it's somewhere in here, the family tree that, as a child, I drew up. But it could be anywhere else. I saw it a couple of years ago, because I know it's in somewhere inappropriate. I think it might have been a school project, or I think I was staying at my grandparents' and talking to them about what they remembered. Aha! This looks familiar. Family tree compiled, arranged and laid by Julian MacDonald Clary. That's the one. Shall we take it downstairs? And I've never had the 3 cameramen in my bedroom before. Not at once, anyway. There are all these lives going on here that there's a coachload of people that are my not very distant relatives. Some of whom I remember with Auntie Maud and Auntie Ivy sitting in their porches on the Isle of Wight, and as a child when we would visit. But there are lots of people that I just don't know anything about. Don't know anything about my grandfather, who's here. Jack. He's in full Air Force drag with his hat at a jaunty angle. But he might have smiled a bit. It's sad. I mean, it's sad that he died so young and he didn't get to know me. How awful for him. Oh, and vice versa, of course. I've left it a bit late, but I would like to get to know him. And I feel like a detective on the hunt. Who was this man? And I wonder what he'd have made of me. A bit horrified, probably. We're going to go and see my father and my mother and talk to them about my grandfather. But my father objects to glamourwear for Valerie because I'm going to leave her there for a few days, and he doesn't like to see her in the glamourwear. He gets embarrassed when he walks around the streets of Swindon. So she's wearing much more doggy kind of look now. It won't embarrass anyone, will you? A holiday of a lifetime in Swindon.
Julian Clary is the youngest of 3 children. They grew up in Teddington with their parents Peter and Brenda, who now live in Wiltshire.
Hello. I'm a cat on a table.
Cat on a table.
Hello. How are you?
Well.
Hello.
Have a good journey.
Happen to have a film crew with me. Oh, my bag. Here we are. Because I found this.
Is this the one you did years ago?
Yes. Actually, when you look at this, we don't know much about anyone beyond here, do we?
No, nothing about them.
Something you don't want us to find out.
Not that I know of, but I'm sure you'll tell me if you find something.
I think there'll be a writer or a poet, or there'll be a painter.
I don't think they could read and write beyond there. They were all country
There were
folk.
exceptions. The people could. But I don't want you to find, if you don't mind, I don't want you to find any foreign. I'm very open-minded about people who come from other countries, but I don't think it's part of me.
Right.
The person Julian wants to investigate first is his paternal grandfather, Jack Clary, who died before Julian was born.
Well, here's you. You married Brenda
Yes, 10 out of 10 for that.
in 19...
53.
And was your father there?
No, he was dead.
And what was he like, your father?
I never spent a lot of time with him or saw much of him. All of my life, he seemed to be away. Early on, he was ill, and through the war, he was in Northern Ireland and other places, so he wasn't at home except on leave occasionally.
When he was in the RAF in the Second World War?
Yes, they gave him his rank back that he had from the First World War when he was a flight sergeant, and in the Royal Flying Corps as it was then.
So was that quite an impressive thing for you to have a father in the RAF?
I thought he was part of the air crew, but then I realised he hadn't got the wings that you have on your... and that he actually sort of did the maintenance on them and happens to be standing next to one, and he never ever flew in them. He wasn't an air gunner or a pilot or anything so fancy. So that was a letdown for me. I imagined he was something more than he really was.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
And be nice to the dog.
I'll look after her like she's my own, as you know.
I'm intrigued now. Now I've heard a bit more about him, and my appetite's been tweaked a bit. I don't know why. I didn't like to ask him, but he said about his father being ill. Did you hear that? He said he'd been ill, and then he worked in the Air Force, and then he got cancer. So I don't know what that illness was. I think my Auntie Doreen knows more than my father about their father.
Julian's grandfather, Jack Clary, served as chief mechanic with 48 Squadron during the First World War. Julian's arranged to meet his Aunt Doreen, Jack's daughter, at the Imperial War Museum, Duxford. She's brought her father's photo album from his days with the Royal Flying Corps.
I see lots of aeroplanes.
Oh, there it is.
It's much like you said. It's like
Isn't it?
bits of string.
It's canvas and string, isn't it?
Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm Peter Merton, one of our resident historians.
Peter, hello. This is my Aunt Doreen.
How do you do?
Delighted to meet you.
And
Thank you.
it's my grandfather we're trying to find out about, who in the First World War was...
A flight sergeant. He used to maintain them.
Yeah. Well, I understand he was with 48 Squadron,
That's right.
which, of course, was equipped with Bristol fighters.
Yes.
There's a picture of him leaning on an aeroplane somewhere.
Yeah.
That looks like that.
Yes,
Yes.
it is a Bristol fighter. Oh, excellent. Poses for the camera. That's a beautiful shot.
Fantastic.
What would his working day have been like? What would he have been...
Would you like to come forward, and then perhaps I can explain a little. By the standards of the day, this was quite a large aeroplane. It's significantly bigger than the sort of classic single-seat fighting Scouts.
There's no roof.
Ah, no.
What if it was raining?
Open cockpit.
He didn't fly them, did he?
His job critically was keeping the aeroplanes in the air and keeping guys like my grandfather, who was a scout pilot in the RFC, keeping him going and keeping him alive. It was very important.